Lights, camera, action, quiet on set. Take one. Who the fuck is Magnus Walker? That's a great question. I get asked it all the time. There's two answers, a long one or a short one. I'm a man with a beard. I'm here for the Outlaw Gathering at Classic Car House, Denmark, just outside of Copenhagen. Growing up as a kid in England in the 70s, I'm working class, so we didn't have a fancy car in the garage. We didn't even have a garage. My dad was a salesman. But the glory days of British motorsports, probably pinnacle was the 70s. When I was 10, James Hunt was Formula One world champion. Barry Sheen was two-wheel superbike champion. So even though we didn't have a fancy car, I was around it. I'd watch motorsports on grandstand. My dad would take me to racetracks such as Donington Park, Mallory Park, Cadwell Park, Oulton Park, and we'd watch club racing. But perhaps the answer you may like better is the one I tell all the time, when I fell in love with Porsche. I was aware of Porsche, but growing up in that environment, Porsches were not a common sight. When I was 10 years old, my dad took me to the London Earls Court Motor Show in 1977. And Porsche had a white Martini Turbo on the stand. And the only other car they had on the stand was a 924, also in white Martini, and a 928. But I was drawn to the wide-bodied 1977 white Martini Turbo. Big flares, looked fast standing still. And when I returned from that show, I had a brochure, and I also had a poster which went on my wall, cutaway of the white Martini Turbo. And I wrote a letter to Porsche as a 10-year-old saying, hey, I want to design cars for you. And believe it or not, they wrote a letter back, essentially saying, call us when you're older. I never called them back. First of all, no one drives at PCH on a Saturday afternoon. Slow moving. PCH is a nice road, but it's not a great driving road. People talk about PCH from LA to San Francisco. There's never a great time to do it because you're always stuck behind tourists in minivans and campers. So first of all, I'm never driving up PCH. Let's find a better road like Angeles Crest Highway, one of the world-class mountain roads that goes to over 10,000 feet and is located at the base 18 miles from my warehouse. I'm not putting music on. The music is what's coming over my shoulder. The whole thing about the drive is you get in this zone, you disconnect from everything else, you're in the environment, sensory overload, you're hearing the frequency, the rumble, the sound, the smell, the energy. That's the music. Well, I've owned a car in New York City. It was a Porsche 968 that I street parked in the East Village. So I've driven a car into New York City. New York's very urban, very hip hop, so it's probably Beastie Boys or Run DMC, but Billy Joel is Long Island local working class hero, right? But I'm not so much of an uptown girl, so Beastie Boys or Run DMC, either one. No, it's actually my second time here. Special place, pretty spectacular, and I've traveled the world and seen a lot of great, special, spectacular places. The environment here is great. I've been hanging out with Nikolai, the architect that sort of helped put it together. I'm on my way back through Copenhagen from Sweden. I just reached out to Nikolai and said, hey, let's do an outlaw gathering because I do these things all over the world. A couple of texts later, here I am. It was that simple, not overthought. My thoughts on it is there's something for everyone. You want to store your car, you want to buy a car. It's a one-stop shop automotive creative space under one roof that's filled with inspirational cars that you can either buy or store and work on and brings people together. So this is sort of the conduit that is bringing everyone together in a great environment. So 2 thumbs up. So, this seems to look like a pretty fun thing, and that Ford Capri seems to look like a pretty fun thing, but ask me that question at the end of the night when I've seen, 200 other cars. The answer is too early to tell. Whichever one you can get your butt in the seat straight away. People ask me this question all the time, and I always say, what's your budget? If you got unlimited budget, the sky's the limit. If you got 10 grand, go buy a Gen 1 Boxster. This will cover all the senses of a Porsche experience, and it's usable performance that you can drive 10/10ths. When it comes to Porsche, I'm all about variety. So it's front engine, mid engine, rear engine, air and water cooled. We need air and water to survive. People sort of get hung up on Porsches have to be air cooled, right? Well, Porsche's been making water-cooled 911s for 26 years now. The 911's been in production for 60. So in 5 years' time, half the production will be water-cooled. So air and water. I've got 924s, 928s, 944s, 968s, 914s, and some 911s. So I got transaxle front engine water-cooled, I got mid-engine air-cooled, and I got rear-engined air and water. It's all about variety. That's a wrap.
Very good.
Being emotional, now let's do it again.
Not your first rodeo, eh?
No, not my first rodeo.